All right, folks, it's time for the Malzberg panel. Welcome back, and joining us now is Brad Hirschfield, author of You Don't Have to Be Wrong for Me to Be Right, and president of CLAL, and Rachel Campos-Duffy, conservative pundit, national spokesman for the LIBRE initiative. So much to talk about, but I want to start with you, Rachel, because your husband, of course, is Sean Duffy, Congressman Sean Duffy. Today we had another incident. A couple days ago, someone killed themselves on in front of the Capitol, and today a helicopter with one man aboard, who a 61-year-old turned out to be from Florida, mailman protesting campaign finance laws, landed his helicopter on the lawn of the Capitol. I mean, it scares me, but you have a husband inside that building. I don't get what security measures they're using.
Absolutely, a husband and a father of 7.
Yeah.
And lots of moms and dads in there. It's really frightening. Between this, what you mentioned that happened last week, that really unfortunate suicide, but more importantly, some of these breaches in the Secret Service, it makes us all wonder. Are we safe? And more importantly, is our government working? And is our government focused on its most important job, which is our national security and securing those who have agreed to serve our country? To me, as a spouse, this is a very basic thing that our government should be doing for the sake of those of us who have, family members that are serving our country. It's frightening. I
mean, would you expect that they would have shot this thing down? How does it get into the airspace without getting shot?
I have no idea. I would expect that would have been shot down. I mean, remember the woman who was driving her car erratically? She was killed. So we know there's some sort of protocol. How does something like this happen? What are the terrorists thinking as they're seeing these kind of breaches? Yep.
And Brad, I'm sure you have concerns. I don't know what your feelings are, but go ahead.
No, it is concerning, and having spent a significant amount of time in my life living in Israel, where security issues like this are always kind of at your elbow, this is a very serious failure, perhaps in protocol, perhaps in the functionality of the security apparatus. I will say this: bringing down any aircraft, even a small one-man helicopter, has the real potential to create deadly harm on the ground. So I don't know if a shoot down amidst a bunch of civilians is the way to go, but I do know that the fact that a helicopter could penetrate the Congress to this extent is something that someone needs to be looking at and someone needs to be accountable for.
Well, we have another problem here, guys and ladies, and that is that the GAO has now revealed that, and by the way, I had a guest, a friend of mine, Wayne Lonstein, who is a security expert and a good friend of mine, full disclosure, but he talked about this with me on the air not too long ago, that the hackers could bring down passenger jets by using passenger Wi-Fi. I mean, Rachel, this is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And those of us who travel a lot on airplanes who want our Wi-Fi, wow, this is super, super scary. It sounds like something out of 24 or Homeland. But you can see how it can work. And we just, as a government, we have to be smaller and leaner and meaner and focusing on these types of things instead of so many of the wasteful things that our government's doing. National security, protecting our citizens, protecting our economy, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, and Brad, I mean, this is just, I don't even know what the answer to this is.
Well, let's start with the fact that Wi-Fi is not a basic human right. I mean, no one is guaranteed to be able to have access to their Wi-Fi when they're in the air. And I think what we do need to always be aware of, there is no creation of a technological capacity that doesn't bring with it some real risk, and we have to attend to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely we have to attend to it. All right, I want to get to your opinion of Marco Rubio's announcement, Rachel, in your capacity as the head of the LIBRE initiative, or the spokesman, and the press's reaction to his announcement.
I thought it was well executed. He had a beautiful family. I wish they had been around him during his speech more, so we could have seen more of them and gotten a little bit more of a personal idea of him. They looked young. They looked fresh. Could not have been a bigger contrast to Hillary's announcement and her very weird, like, Kim Kardashian moment at Chipotle, where she had, dark shades and, an assistant and checking her, her mobile device. He looked fresh. He looked smart. And I know there was some criticism about, he's still sipping water and sweating, but hello, it's Florida. It's very hot there. It was a small room.
Absolutely.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, and Brad, we'll come to you and we'll pick up on that when we come back. And maybe you could weigh in on the media reaction. When we come back, more with the panel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before the break, we were talking about Marco Rubio's rollout with the Malzberg panel, Brad Hirschfield, and, of course, Rachel Campos-Duffy. And let me pick up with Brad. Talk about the media reaction. See, when Hillary announced, I haven't heard a boo about a scandal since then. It's been all about, as Rachel alluded to, the burritos and the cup of coffee and the van and, how she sits there with 4 people. But when Rubio announced, as when Paul announced and Cruz announced, it's you're this, you're that, what about this, what about that? So, talk about the media coverage of Rubio. How fair or unfair do you think it was?
Well, look, Steve, I wish they actually did ask tough questions. What was disturbing to me was they did almost nothing on the day that he announced. And I want to be clear, I don't care what anyone's politics are. The personal story of Marco Rubio and his siblings, and even more importantly, his parents, is an incredibly moving and inspiring story. So let's just start by digesting that anyone, whatever their politics, should be able to listen to that speech. If you haven't, it's worth going back and listening to, and avoiding the politics and simply, wow, this is an inspired story of making something of your life.
Yep.
So that's incredible. The fact that the day that Hillary goes to Chipotle to eat a burrito bowl, I don't know what a burrito bowl is, but I'm pretty sure that
I don't know what Chipotle is.
But yes, you do. But it's okay. That was bigger news than Marco Rubio's announcement, which it was. That's outrageous. That's just, I don't care what politics, again, you're doing the American public a disservice when Hillary's lunch is a bigger story than Marco Rubio jumping into the fray for the presidency.
Rachel, let's move on to Obama taking Cuba off the terrorism list, and Obama sitting there at the Latin American event where Castro gave a speech and trashed the history of the United States, the imperialist United States, but made a point to say, I don't blame Obama for this. He had nothing to do with this. I mean, if I were president, I would have gotten up and walked out. He probably sat there and smiled and nodded in appreciation. How does this going to play with the Hispanic vote? Is this going to be a big issue about, I mean, I know most of the Hispanics in the United States or Hispanic origin are not Cuban Americans, but is this going to have an effect on the vote in the long run?
I don't know. I think you're right that the Cuban vote is small. They're the ones who really care about it, and there is some division within that community about how to handle Cuba moving forward. I will say this, that one of the untold stories of the Obama administration, we see the failures in the Middle East. There is a huge failure in Latin America. We have, since Obama was elected, any kind of hope we had, any kind of places within Latin America that were exhibiting democratic tendencies are now being more and more silenced. And the voices of Cuba, Venezuela, of Ecuador, of Argentina, these leftists, are taking a bigger stand. And what's interesting, what Obama is doing is he is really empowering them. They're giving them more power within Latin America. And we have ceased to be the voice of democratic dissidents, whether it's in Iran,
right,
or in Latin
You're
America.
100%,
we are no longer that voice.
100% correct. Brad, how do you say, with a straight face, not you, but as anybody, that Barack Obama doesn't have an agenda and that he feels more comfortable befriending and shaking hands with and hugging and working with tyrannical dictators and thugs than he does democracies, would be they, the Great Britain, Israel, whatever?
Well, look, there is an Obama doctrine, and there's no question that for bad and for good, and I think there's times it's been each, he assumes that going and shaking hands and working together will always work well. I think that always is very problematic. I happen to think in the case of Cuba, it's actually a good move. The truth is...
Tell it to the people in the Cuban gulags.
No, but I've actually spent time in Cuba, and there's no question. It's a police state, and it's a bad place. Let's be clear. But
so let's reward them.
No, but here's the thing. Do we really believe in market economies? Do we really believe in democracy? The truth is, Cuba is teetering. If we want to swamp it, it's very simple. Let them be exposed to what we have and who we are, and the country won't last.
People will never be exposed.
They will be.
The
There's
government
only
will prevent it.
Exactly,
communist governments have fallen, and they've fallen twice in history.
Right.
We outspent the Soviets and everyone else. It was exposure to the greatness of America, and people said, hey, whatever we thought communism was, that was a lie. We want more of what they've got there.
Rachel,
Can
5
I
seconds.
ask-
Go ahead,
yes, can-
quick.
I just have to add that right when Cuba was having trouble because of Venezuela not being able to provide the oil, we
Rachel,
throw a lifeline to
Gotta
them.
go. Rachel, Campos-Duffy, Brett Hirschfield, thank you.